The simple truth is that regardless of what we do, all of our futures end in the same way: death. We begin to die the day we are born, and we begin to live the day we accept that we are going to die. And we begin dying the day we choose to stop living. You can spend your entire life living or dying. I've chosen to live. Hey guys, my name is Benjamin Von Wong, Montreal photographer, and this week I wanted to bring you guys something a little bit different. I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, who I am, my journey, my aspirations. I have a couple fans on Facebook that have thrown me a couple questions, so I'm going to be doing somewhat of a self-interview about myself, about inspiration, about motivation, how I do what I do, and why I do it. So I hope you enjoy it. For those of you who don't know, I actually studied in mining engineering. I went into university at 17, did 4 years of work, ended up working in mines all over the place, in Nevada, Labrador City. Figured out it wasn't quite for me, but when I graduated at 21, I didn't have a better idea of what to do. So thanks to my parents, a little bit of coaching, I went ahead, made use of my degree and worked for 3.5 years as an engineer in a consulting company over here in Montreal. And throughout that time, photography kind of developed. In the beginning it was a hobby, and then soon it became somewhat more of a job because I figured out I could earn money doing something I enjoyed. And then as things went on, I figured I wanted to do something more creative. So I launched myself into that direction, and one thing led to another, and here I am. Quit my job in January of 2012, and I am doing exclusively photography right now. I have also been doing a bunch of traveling, so far since I've quit my job, it's been quite crazy. I have actually traveled to Israel, did a shoot in the Dead Sea over there. I went to Europe. I did an entire tour, Von Wong Does Europe tour, where you can see a whole bunch of behind the scenes videos with Erwin. And I most recently just got a free flight to Seattle thanks to Noctran, who really wanted me to shoot her graduation. So I thought that was quite special too. And while I was in Seattle, I actually randomly bumped into a fan who recognized me, and she will actually be interning with me for probably the next month or so. So it's been pretty crazy, and I don't know where the trip is going to lead. I think that's really part of the fun. I could be anywhere in the world in the next 3 weeks. Financially, it's been, special, I would say. You never quite know when the contracts are going to be coming up, but thanks to the fact that I actually had my background in engineering, that's helped me build up a lot of my gear. It's not that much of a problem, and things have been going quite well. Some of you have asked about that transition from that 9 to 5 to the whole full-time photography thing, and frankly, it's been quite an interesting journey. It's really hard to say. I've been doing photography so passionately. I was working 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, and at night I was doing photography. In the daytime I was meeting for photography during my lunch breaks. In the weekends I was also shooting. So Things didn't really change that much. I mean, I went from doing photography whenever I could to pretty much doing photography all the time. The biggest thing that it's enabled me to do is have this flexibility to just kind of pick up everything and just go whenever I want. So the Europe tour, for example, the trips to Israel, the picking up to Seattle within like 2 weeks notice. Even most recently, being able to say, okay, well in 2 weeks I'm gonna be packing up my stuff and going. It's given a lot of that flexibility. Financially, obviously, it's not as fun. I have been cutting down a lot on gear that I can buy, gear that I can purchase. But I've also discovered that you don't really need certain things to make you happy. I think that the fact that you can really do what you enjoy doing, what calls to you, that really makes all of the difference. So now I can actually quite clearly say that I'm doing what I love. I still don't consider myself a professional photographer. I'm still not too sure where I want to be in 5-10 years, let alone 2. I don't know if I'm going to be staying in photography or if I'm going to be transitioning into creative direction or something similar. And frankly, I think it's better that way. It keeps things interesting, and right now I'm young, I'm single, I can do whatever I want. It's a pretty sweet feeling. So obviously I do need to have my mind constantly on, can I afford things? How am I going to be making my way to the next paycheck? Or do I have enough contracts coming in? But somehow by constantly creating and this whole vibe I have going, people seem to sense that and they seem to want to participate in whatever I'm doing. So if anything, it's made collaborations even easier now that I don't have a full-time job. And it's just made me a lot more aware of needing to bring in some contracts from time to time. But to be honest, it hasn't really changed all that much in how I work or how I see the world. So let me answer a question about inspiration. People have been asking me, where do I get my inspiration from? Are there any blogs that I follow? How can I come up with these crazy ideas over and over again? And the answer is that I do follow a couple blogs. I follow F-Stoppers and Petapixel. Those, I guess, are my two big connection to the photography and digital world. I don't really follow it that religiously, but it is good to just keep in touch and see what people are up to from time to time. In terms of inspiration, of actually saying, okay, what am I gonna create? I don't really get that so much from looking at other people's works. Most of the time, it's really just from going out and meeting people. I'm a huge meeting person. I love getting out there, meeting people, talking to them, and getting to know what they like to do, what ideas they have. And from there, I can draw a lot of ideas. People have the most interesting stories, hobbies, they know people. And when I show them my work, it's pretty easy to strike up a random conversation and just be like, okay, so what do you do? And from there, if someone says like, oh, I work in a coin factory, then it's like, oh, coin factory, can I shoot there? What is it like? Or you go somewhere and you see some glass blowing and you're like, ooh, that would be really interesting to get inspired for the next thing I'm gonna be coming up with. Or, you know, you just walk into a costume store and then out of a sudden there's like a bazillion costumes and it's just fun. So that I find really helps keep creativity flowing. Now, obviously, there are ups and downs. Every artist, every human being knows this. You just go through these ups and downs. Frankly, I think the way to get out of that is by simply looking forward and figuring that, you know, things can't really stay down forever. And you really need those downs to feel, to get the ups. It's just a part of life. I mean, I kind of consider myself a moody person from time to time. I am very critical of my own work. I'm very critical of a lot of things that I do, where I'm going, and I really often feel that, you know, things aren't going fast enough, or that I should be doing something else, or that I should be pushing harder, not sleeping so much, for example. So even though sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, looking back a couple months at a time, maybe a year back, it really helps to see the progress that you've made so far. On a day-to-day basis, it's really hard to judge how far you've come. So if you are feeling those creative downs and you feel like you're not really putting anything out there, look back a couple years and you'll see that you actually have been making progress. And if you truly are just procrastinating, we'll get out there and do something about it, because whining about it really just doesn't do much. So when I'm feeling down, I will just push myself to actually go out there and just meet somebody, or sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna plan something. Give yourself a deadline. I've found that deadlines really, really help productivity. So if you give yourself a deadline, and you engage yourself to them, meaning that other people are waiting on an email or something. So if you tell somebody, hey, look, I'm gonna answer you in 2 days, and you make sure that in 2 days you're gonna have an answer. Or if you have a photo shoot, then you tell yourself, all right, well, I owe it to these people and I want this to be done by this date, and you stick to it. So it's kind of the principle behind getting a video out every week. It's a lot of work to put out a video every week. Just filming these things takes hours at a time. But I tell myself, you know, I'm going to be putting one out a week. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, and it's Friday night, and I just sit down and I say, okay, well, this I need to do something. So let's come up with something interesting, and that generates creativity even when there is none necessarily inside of you. Another question I get a lot is, how do you even get about to planning these entire shoots and stuff? How do you put all of these shoots together, and how do you come up, you know, where do you even start? What usually happens is I will either have an idea spontaneously from something I saw, something I wish I could have done, and then it just becomes problem solving. Most of the time though, it will start from a specific resource. So if I know somebody that has an amazing dress, for example, and I'm like, okay, I want to shoot this dress. Then the next thing is, how can I tell a story with this dress? What is the story that I can build around the dress? Where do I need to shoot it? What talent am I gonna need? What model will I need to put in that dress? And it's just a really, really sequential thing. I mean, you just kind of solve this one by one, and maybe that's where my engineering training kind of helps. You just solve the problems. And I think it's important to not get discouraged when something doesn't really work out. I think it's really hard when you take the entire concept and say, all right, I want to have dragons and monsters and I want them all in the cave with a waterfall in the background, and you just throw this entire thing all at once, and it's a huge project. But if you can just break it down to little pieces that you want to try and put together, it gets a lot more manageable, and then it just becomes, okay, well, I have this piece now, I have that one. It usually takes about a month and a half for me to put a concept together, down to the shoot, and then another month after that to do the editing, gathering all the people. It still takes a lot of effort. I use Facebook a lot. It's my primary tool. It also gives a reason for other people to engage me. I can talk to my fans. Most recently, I put up guys, if you're not in Montreal, do a rain dance somewhere and get the rain away, because I really need sunshine on Sunday. So fun things like that. I mean, it doesn't always have to be serious, but sometimes, you know, you can ask the craziest thing and see what happens out of it. The other time I was on Facebook and I said, anybody have a flamethrower? And I found one, but the concept didn't work out anyways. But now I know that if ever I need a flamethrower, I can find one. What I'm trying to say is that you just can't get discouraged whenever things look complicated. If you want to do something, there's a way to do it, and it's up to you to find a way to do it. Another question that I've been getting is, so how do you even get your clients? Do you look for them? Do they find you? And the truth is, they kind of find me. I figure that if I can continuously output interesting, exciting videos, photos, that, you know, eventually one day something big is going to happen, and in the meantime I'm perfectly happy with the smaller things. It's actually quite fun working with smaller productions, bands or individuals or smaller designers, because they have a lot more creative freedom. You have a lot less levels of management. So I personally enjoy that because I have the opportunity to put in my creative input. And when people find me because of the work I output, which is in essence the things I enjoy doing because that's what I'm working on, then they hire me because they want what they see, meaning that I'm getting paid eventually to do what I want to do. So no, I do not really reach out for clients. The only time I really reach out is for creatives, and then eventually I hope that through them, good referrals, I do a good job, I put 110% in everything I do, something's gonna come out of it. That's how I find clients, is through you guys helping me share my work, distributing it, enjoying what I do. There you go. So finally, one of the questions I got was, how do you have the self-confidence to go forward? And you know, it's a really good question. There's a lot of uncertainty. You don't know where things are going. You don't know how things are going to turn out. But I suppose I have a really good family that's backing me, so that definitely helps a lot. But ultimately, I tend just to not think about it that much, and just believe in what I do, believe that nothing really can stop you. If this is what you want to do, and I may have plan Bs, plan Cs, I can go back and become an engineer, but ultimately, I think that when you find that thing that you're really passionate about, that thing that you really enjoy, there's never any going back. You can't go back to just having a 9-to-5, just settling for less. I'm not saying that, you know, you're just gonna say, oh, well, things are gonna work out, I'm not even gonna, you know, consider finding clients. I don't need clients. But, you know, you have to be aware, you have to be able to think about what you need to make things work, but you can't let them hold you back. You have to see them as just one piece of the equation, and this is just part of being successful. If you really don't like dealing with clients, well, think of something else. Maybe get a friend, collaborate, work with someone, work underneath someone. I mean, there are millions of solutions for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So I think that pretty much summarizes a couple of the questions. I mean, there are a whole bunch of them over here, but feel free to leave a comment either on my blog, on Facebook, or whatever. I really tend to reply to my messages pretty much all the time. So my blog post this week is really about inspiration and how I find it. So I hope that will help you. And if not, this video will give you more or less an idea of who I am, and I hope it wasn't too boring, just me talking. And last announcement that I kind of mentioned in the beginning is that I will have an intern hang out with me for about a month, and it's really crazy because she recognized me while I was waltzing around in a market in Seattle, and somehow we ended up chatting, we ended up hanging out, and I inspired her to quit her job. She does a bunch of After Effects and some pretty cool stuff. So I thought it'd be a really cool idea to test out having an intern. So if you're interested in that, throw me a line, we never know. The world is a pretty small place, and I'm also seriously considering giving workshops. Probably gonna have to start practicing those over here in Montreal, setting up a program. So if you're interested in that too, drop me a line just to let me know you're interested. Finally, for those of you who really didn't understand the beginning of my video, well, what I'm trying to say is you only have one life, and there's no point in trying to live somebody else's life the way people will tell you should be living it. There really is nothing to lose. If you believe in something and you know there is something that you are supposed to do or something that you want to do, I don't think that you should hold yourself back. So if you believe in something, go for it. Live. Don't just don't just breathe. Like, live life. And hope that inspires you guys. And we'll see you next week. Most probably another Wong Does Europe video, or perhaps something different. So stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, and really hope you enjoyed this. It's a little bit different, so take care, guys.